Then you look at the furlough scheme, it's only 80% of wages, so there's a 20% wage cut. And then, of course, those who are not in work are on benefits. There's the benefit cap, there's the low level of benefits themselves, and all that goes with it in terms of, well, you've seen it really, scandalous treatment of people expected to live off low levels of both universal credit and also sickness pay, sick pay. Just staggering how people can even survive on these levels. It's interesting, when Hancock was asked about could he live on the level of sick pay and that was paid, he said he couldn't. Well, why should the Tories expect anyone else to as well? The other issue then is, so people lose their jobs, they're living on low wages, and wages for many people have been frozen effectively for 10 years austerity. They've got very low levels of benefit support as well. And then what happens is, well, they fall behind with their debts because there's been escalating bills. Water bills are a scandal since privatisation, a poorer service, huge amounts of profits, £18 billion paid out in dividends since privatisation at least, and then significant increases every year in water bill charges, water charges, and the same with energy and all other elements of basic household bills. So people then get themselves in a situation where their income doesn't match their outgoings. So what do? Well, they go for a loan, they borrow. And what's interesting, that the Bank of England base rate at the moment is 0.1%. No one gets that. That's what the Bank of England base rate. In fact, if someone borrows, whether they borrow even through a bank, they get 10 times that is hit with them. If they're going through, I'll just give the example of credit cards, you can be 30 or 40 times the interest rates of the bank. And then sometimes when you go further, 30, 40, 300 times. Payday lenders, 3,000 times what the Bank of England base rate is. So people get hit because of the way in which the financial system operates. And then there are specific debts as well, aren't there? Student debt. And the scandal there is, of course, the introduction of tuition fees, which are appalling. But in addition to that, the way in which the interest rates have gone up on the charges against student debt. So remember, Bank of England base rate, 0.1%. What's the rate charged on student debt? It's 5.6% it's going up to. It's just, talk about a rip-off. Again, you just go on, really. I was looking at the student loan situation. There's 17 billion loans to around 1.3 million students in England each year. And the value of that obviously amounts up. And it's about 140 billion now. I was asking questions in Parliament over the last few years about what's happening on how much of that is being paid off. The vast bulk of that is not paid off because the students never, once they come out of university, never earn enough to actually pay their debt off. So what government did last year, and they'll have to do again, they're having to write off some elements of that debt because it's uncollectible. So we have a ludicrous system where under New Labour, they introduced tuition fees, then the Tories massively hike it up, then they hit them with a high interest rate, and what happens? The system starts falling apart and collapsing because it can't be paid off. It's just extraordinary. So what do we do about it? I think now what we need to do is think through a coordinated anti-debt campaign at every level, basically. And we've been looking at what they've done in the United States. They've set up the debt collective. And in this country, in some areas now, debt unions are being set up, like renters unions as well, in which the debt collective brought people together who were in debt, not just to give them individual rights, but also to bring together to start campaigning for the writing off of those debts, and also to prevent some of the most abusive behavior by some of the lenders that was going on then. So if we just go, let's just run through some of the potential campaigns that we've been talking about. And again, I pay tribute to Andrew Fisher and John and others who've been working through this. First of all, doing exactly what SEMA is doing. At the local level, trying to stop the bailiffs, basically. Trying to get local authorities to avoid the use of bailiffs on the scale, certainly on the scale they have now. SEMA's been doing that. Actually, Hammersmith and Fulham have been doing some good work around this as well. So we need to get Labour councillors and Labour groups, whether